What if you were a leader of this vast and diverse country? How will you deal with this pandemic? Before answering these questions, I would like to share a quote of one of the most brilliant minds of all times, Sir Albert Einstein. The leader is one who, out of the clutter, brings simplicity, out of discord, harmony, and out of difficulty, opportunity. Hello everyone, I am Ishatpreet Singh, a second year student of ISER Mohali. The true test of a leader is how well you function in a crisis. A pandemic tests a leader's strategic thinking, holistic approach, innovation, action, civic mindedness, and effective cross cultural communication blended with universal harmony. Being a leader, it becomes my responsibility to ensure the availability of basic necessities like hygienic food, safe drinking water, shelter, and of course education and awareness, besides ensuring the total protection of my people in a pandemic. Even a minute negligence by me can cost my people's precious lives, the worthiest assets for a nation. So, I should remain highly attentive. I would have started imposing border restrictions from the time when a man in Philippines died of COVID-19. He is considered to be the first person outside China to die of COVID-19. I would have ensured that any Chinese foreigner is permitted to travel within the country only after 14-day isolation, as the virus becomes inactive after this period. I would have diverted a lion's share of resources, financial and otherwise, for conducting research and finding proper care and cure of COVID-19 victims. I would have also formed an advisory committee including scientists, doctors, epidemiologists, educationists, and economists, with powers to decide when and where lockdown should be imposed and for what duration. The committee would guide me and provide an accurate assessment of consequences we may face, as clarity is the key to effective leadership. When a few more cases were reported in other parts of the world, I would have almost entirely sealed Indian borders to stop the influx and stop the community transmission. Despite these measures, if the number of active cases soared, lockdowns would be imposed in affected areas instead of imposing a nationwide lockdown. Imposing a complete lockdown at such an early stage without proper preparation and public consent would severely impact our economy and would cause both unimaginable and unmanageable difficulties to people below the poverty line. So, forming micro-containment zones would be the best possible solution. I would also create a 24/7 helpline so that people can be guided properly and I too can be updated regarding their difficulties and take necessary measures to comfort them. I would also ensure proper assessment and scaling up of world-class health infrastructure, as their services could be in high demand in future. People traveling from affected areas would be kept in 14-day isolation in hotels or specially designed isolation centers equipped with all facilities according to all WHO norms, nearest to airports, railway stations, bus stands, etc. In such a pandemic, frontline workers may get overexhausted, so I would arrange their regular interactions with psychiatrists in order to keep their mental health in a good state. Helplines for consulting with doctors and psychiatrists would also be created for citizens. I would impose a strict lockdown in affected areas. Leadership is not about being in charge. It is taking care of those in your charge. I would ensure that people living in areas under lockdown get food delivered to their accommodations, and those not owning a house can live in hotels and accommodations owned by government free of cost. Rent of hotels would be paid by government so that hotel owners don't face losses. Those breaching lockdowns would be severely punished according to the rule of the land. They may face criminal charges as they can transmit the virus to others, which can result in their deaths. So the government will be helpful to those who abide by the guidelines and strict to those who breach them, as leaders always choose the harder right rather than the easier wrong. Instead of complete shutdown of educational institutions, especially schools and colleges, I would like to develop a proper mechanism of making them functional during COVID-19 period, but only after consultation with advisory committee, keeping the national interest the highest priority. In a vast country like ours, tackling with a pandemic like COVID-19 is only possible by maintaining a proper coordination between people and administration. So I and advisory committee would regularly interact with our people by conducting press conferences and provide them with updates and discuss our future strategies with them. The role of mass media would be vital in winning the battle against COVID-19. I would ensure that the mass media shouldn't be reduced to mere a puppet, but the third eye, helpful in managing the situation for good. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant. Monetary help to those who can't afford treatment would be provided. There would be strict actions against those spreading rumors in these harsh times. Late former Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, once said in the session of Parliament that governments will come and go, parties will form and deteriorate, but this country should remain intact. So large gatherings that may occur during festivals, social functions and political rallies will be banned in entire nation, as such places are potential hotspots for virus transmission. When the vaccine would be developed, my prime focus will be to get everyone vaccinated. I would ensure that its production rate is adequate for entire population to get vaccinated. I, along with frontline workers, volunteers, and prominent faces of the society, will organize awareness campaigns to ensure that everyone gets vaccinated and no rumors causing vaccine hesitancy are spread in public. I would ensure that my countrymen shouldn't be thankful to me, but to the scientists and frontline workers, the real COVID warriors. I would like to conclude with the following quote. Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make the difference. It's never about the role, always about the goal. I feel indebted to Connected Indian for providing me the opportunity to present my views on such an insightful topic and all of you to attentively listen to my views.